What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 5, Episode 14, So Much Disrespect. So it is date night for Letitia and Marsau, and they're going to have their date night at their lounge Black. So first we see Marsau. He's there first, and he makes sure that the bartender has Letitia's drink waiting for her. So when she gets there, completely out of breath, I don't know where she was coming from, but I don't know if she ran there, if she sprinted there. I don't know what was going on. She got there. She was completely out of breath. She was huffing and puffing, but her drink was waiting for her. So that was really sweet of him to make sure that that was going to be waiting for her. So they start having a conversation about Jalen, Kimmy's son, Jalen, and how he's a cougar tamer, because that's like the running joke, right? Ever since, I guess, him and Destiny were being kind of flirty with one another. They've been calling him a cougar tamer. And then here we go. Always the Holtz enter their conversation. Letitia mentions how Martell is also a cougar tamer, I guess because he's dating Sheree, and Sheree is a little bit older than Martell. So it's all jokey, it's all fun and games. Everything is going pretty smoothly. So then it turns completely dark when Marsau tells Letitia that he had invited Melody to have a meeting with him during the date night that he's having with his wife. And so Letitia was like, why in the world would you initiate a meeting with Melody during date night? And also, why are you even speaking to her without me knowing about it? And then he says something about how he said he didn't text her, he had his assistant text her. And so then Letitia was like, well, I need to be a part of that. You need to start like a group text because I need to know what's going on. And so then Marsau says, well, you had met with Martell and I wasn't involved with that. And Letitia tells him, but that was business. What are you talking about? You can't compare this to that. I had to meet with Martell because he wanted to join back into Skolt. And, her being the majority shareholder, she had to be the one to say yay or nay. So she was telling her husband, that's just completely different. And Marsau says, well, I thought that you and Melody were friends. And she says, well, we're cordial. We're not friends. We're really cordial. And so then, Marsau says, well, cordial means that you invite people over, for stuff, to do stuff. And she was like, no, cordial does not mean that you invite people over to do anything or to spend time with them. And then she tells him, you're missing my point. And then Marsau says, you're missing my point, or your point is that you're just jealous. Y'all, when he said that to her, I even felt it. And so Tisha, you can tell her whole demeanor completely changed. And she says to him, don't play me, Martell, and don't you ever throw that jealousy word at me ever again. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of a husband is this? You know that Melody has been Letitia's worst nightmare for years. And then you're going to call your wife jealous of Melody? I think she has every right to be jealous of Melody. That's just my own personal opinion, but that's besides the point. How can you, as her husband, and you know how fragile, this is the thing about Marsau that really kills me. He lives with this woman every day. I'm assuming they're together every single day. He above all knows how fragile, how sensitive, how delicate Tisha is about everything to do with their marriage. She's very defensive. She's insecure. She's just extremely, extremely sensitive when it comes to the matters of Marsau and her. And for him to say that to her, I don't care if it's 100% true or not. For him to say, you are the husband. You're supposed to make sure that your wife is always in a good state of mind, that, that she's emotionally at peace, mentally at peace. You're supposed to be the one to provide that peace and comfort to her. And then you hurl at her that she's just jealous of a woman that she absolutely cannot stand, and who has, some might say, contributed to these rumors out there that there's trouble in paradise, that there's trouble in their marriage. Martell and Melody had a lot to do with that. They were the first ones to throw it out there that Marsau was seeing other women behind Tisha's back. They were the first ones to put that out there. So when he said that to her, I was just like, I mean, my mouth dropped open. So a little bit into the conversation, he tells her, because I think she was trying to say something and then he was trying to talk and she wouldn't let him talk. And so then he says to her, either we're going to listen or we're going to not listen. That was that patriarchal way that he has, that condescending tone that he has with her, where he talks to her like she's a child and not a full grown adult woman who is handling a business or businesses, raising children, doing what she's supposed to do. He'll talk to her like she's just some imbecile. Either we're going to listen or we're not going to listen. Man, how does she have the patience to put up with this man? His reasoning for why he was conducting this meeting with Melody was because his brother Mark is going to be releasing some information or revealing something or exposing something that's got something to do with Van. And, you know, Mark is a loose cannon. Nobody can control him. He does and says whatever the hell he wants. He don't give a damn about consequences. He don't give a damn about how he looks, how anybody else looks. If he wants to drag you through the mud, he's going to drag you through the mud. So Marsau, his whole explanation of why he was having this meeting was that he wanted to give Melody a heads up of what his brother is going to be doing online or something. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you tell Melody? Why don't you have a meeting directly with Miss Van, Melody's mother? Because whatever it is that Mark was going to expose has something to do with Melody's mother, Miss Van. So why couldn't you just talk to Miss Van? And you can just send Miss Van a text or give her a phone call and say, hey, I just want to give you the what's up. You know, my crazy brother, he's up to his antics again, and just be ready. He's going to be spewing some nonsense on the internet, and I just want to give you a heads up. Just prepare yourself. It doesn't require all of this, and it doesn't require you hurting your wife's feelings and getting her all upset because you're going to interrupt y'all's date night to go meet with Melody, and for completely asinine reasons. Moving on. So Marsau, he tells her at the comeback meeting when all the 6 couples had that dinner, he says to Letitia, it doesn't seem like you and Melody were really moving on, that y'all had really moved on or had gotten over y'all's differences. And then Tisha says, then why did you invite her? If you know that me and Melody have not moved on and that we have not repaired anything, why would you invite her to this meeting? So somewhere along the way, he even like made fun of Letitia. He even mocked her. I forgot exactly what he did or what he said, but she said something and then he repeated what she said in this really mocking tone. So he ends up leaving. He gets up, he walks away, and he says, I'm not listening to this blank. I'm not listening to the blank that you have to say. And he gets up and he walks out, and then he came back in and he tries to convince her, you know, I got you. I'm here for you. I'm not trying to like, you know, embarrass you or humiliate you. I got you. I got you. And, he says to her, this is something else that really irked me. I just wanted to jump into that TV. He says to her, Tisha's way has never worked. Marsau's way always works. So he completely like dismisses her, dismisses any thought that she's ever expressed, anything that she's ever said. If Tisha's way has never worked and Marsau's way always works, so why is she the majority shareholder? Why is she calling the shots in y'all's business if she's that stupid? So Tisha, she brings up the word jealousy again. You know, she tells him that she's not jealous. She says, you know, I would never be jealous of any woman for any reason. I'm just not that type. And Marsau said that, okay, so yeah, he talks about Mark, whatever. I was just like, wow, Marsau, you have this much respect for your wife, that much respect. And this woman puts up with it. And she's going to be out there on her podcast, online, in an interview, talking about, hey, my man's the head of my household. My man's the head of my household. He makes all the decisions for us. As soon as, if it was me, y'all, as soon as he told me that he invited Melody to have a meeting with her about some Mark BS, I would have got my keys and I would have walked out. I would have said, okay, well, I don't want to hold you too much over here. yeah, I'll see you back at the house. And I would have left him to have that stupid meeting with Melody. I'm not going to be arguing back and forth with my husband about another woman, especially a woman that I cannot stand. And I would have been so cold and so distant from him until he came crawling to me on hands and knees, begging for my forgiveness. And I promise you, he would never even think about texting that woman ever again, because that is just the ultimate disrespect. And then when they had the meeting, when him and Melody had the meeting, it was complete nonsense. First of all, once Melody knew what the meeting was about, she wasn't interested. So Melody shows up, and he tells her that he wanted to talk to her about Mark. And he says, you know how when we had the comeback group dinner or meeting or whatever, we talked about how we have to control our people, how they are when they get online, and blah 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 blah. Well, I talked to my brother Mark. That's me. I'm trying to check my people when they're about to act a fool online. I talked to my brother Mark, and he said something about Van. And so as soon as he said Van, Melody instantly said, well, when did the name Melody come up when you were talking to Mark? And he was like, well, no, it was really about Van. And so that's when Melody shut it all the way down. And she's like, you know what? That's got nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing to do with me. And in her confessional, she was like, if I would have known this is the nonsense that he wanted to talk about, I never would have shown up. Exactly. I wonder what he said to convince Melody to show up, because Melody and Marsau don't hang like that. I wonder what he told her to convince her to show up, because Melody has been, this season, Melody has been, what's the word? I want to say difficult, but not really. She's been booked and busy doing her own thing, and she's not coming out to play with these people just for any reason. She'll come and she'll do her little scenes to collect her coins, but she ain't about the nonsense. And so I just want to know what he told her, because you can tell that Melody looks down on Marsau. She has no respect for Marsau. So I just want to know, like, what got you to come to Black? What did he tell you? So she shuts down the meeting. Marsau was like, well, I tried. Y'all told, we were talking about how we were going to be checking our people when they start running amok online, and that's what I did. So whatever happens after this is on y'all. It ain't got nothing to do with me, because I tried to give y'all the heads up. I tried to tell y'all to brace yourselves, but y'all don't want to listen to me. But I did what I did. I did what I had to do. So let's move on from there. So, let me see. So we're having dinner at, we're moving on. We're having dinner now. We are at Kimmy and Maurice's house, and they're going to be hosting a dinner with, everybody except Lewis and, Tiffany. Where is Lewis and Tiffany? I mean, they have been so MIA. Anyway, so they're having dinner with everybody except Lewis and Tiffany. And, let me see, Marsau, he's not the domestic type at all. Because, one of Tisha's biggest complaints about Marsau as a husband is that he's not hands-on with anything in the house. He don't cook, he don't clean, he don't really care about, like watch over the kids or be really hands-on with the children either. He feels like as long as I make the money, you should be happy with that. And that's irritating. That's so irritating, because so many single and married women are making money and they still got to deal with the household. So Marsau, you don't have an exemption. So he's going to cook dinner for everybody. And Tisha was asking Maurice if he would have done what Marsau did with the whole thing, calling up Melody or texting Melody, inviting her for this meeting. And when she asked Maurice was about to answer, but then Kimmy interrupted. And so between Kimmy and Tisha, Maurice never gave his answer, because I really was interested in hearing what Maurice had to say about that, because him and his brother, whatever, who cares? So then they talk about, everybody's at dinner, everyone's sitting at dinner, and they talk about Martell and Sheree. Martell tries to be real secretive about it, like, oh, I don't want to talk about it or whatever, but we all know it's all over the blogs. Yeah, I did those opportunistic photos acting like people were following you in the bushes, and damn well there were cameras everywhere. Martell tried to be he tried to be secretive about it. Mel shows up Okay, after everybody's been seated, Mel shows up and she has on this outfit. It's a dress. She has on this white dress with lace and embroidery or whatever, and it looks very close like a wedding gown. And so in his confessional, Martell makes a note of that. He was like, he says Melody showed up in this white dress that looked like a wedding gown, and coincidentally, this happened to be our 14th it would have been our 14th wedding anniversary. And I wonder if Melody did that on purpose to kind of like, rub it in his face. We would have been celebrating 14 years of marriage, but you effed it up. Martell invites everybody to his wine event. They all ask if Melody is going to show up. She says she has to look at her calendar. Then Martell tells her, well, it's next Thursday, so like you should know if you're going to be busy or not next Thursday. And Melody once again says that she has to look at her calendar. So then I think it was Marsau that asked her. It was either Marsau. I don't know who it was. I think it was Marsau asked her if she was going to bring a +1. Once again, Melody said, I'll have to look at my calendar. You see, she tries so hard to control herself around these people. And they keep on pushing her and pushing her and pushing her. And then when she gives them the business, then it's all her fault. That she's the one that's acting erratic. And then people are like, that's why we don't invite you nowhere. And, wherever you show up, there's always drama. There's always a problem when you show. I don't know how many times this woman had to tell these people, I have to check my calendar, which is very politely, get the F out of my business. If I show up, I'll show up. If I don't, I don't. Don't worry about me. Anywho, Mel says in her confessional that at this moment she is not happy with Martell. She says that Martell had shared medical information about her to the mother of his child. And the way she phrased that, it was as if he had made a request at her doctor's office and pulled all her medical records. And, him and his baby's mother were just sitting at the kitchen table, perusing over every single page. But he just told her that she had C19. So I guess because she was going to be around the kids or something. I guess he had all the kids together. And so maybe because, the possibility of the kids getting the C19 for Melody, and maybe he had all of his kids together, and maybe some of Melody's kids could have passed it on to the baby that he had with whatever her name is, Ariel. Maybe that's why because the baby was exposed to, or that child was exposed to C19 because they're around his other children who have been around Melody. And I was thinking to myself, okay, Melody, you're being a little bit over dramatic. I think that it was okay for him to tell his baby's mother that, look, just want to let you know our child was possibly exposed to C19 because Melody had it. Melody said that he should have said to her that somebody had it, or the child was around someone that had C19. He didn't have to give her name. It's not that big of a deal, Melody. Don't worry about it. Don't make mountains out of molehills. Don't make this a bigger deal than what it is. It's okay. You're going to have plenty of more battles with this guy, Martell. So save your energy for the real battles. This is not a real battle. Don't make it a big deal. It doesn't really matter. He probably just wanted to say your name in front of her damn face. Then, they talk about Stormy. I forgot what they mentioned about Stormy, which led the conversation to Kimmy. And Kimmy was explaining why she was so mum at Stormy's dinner when Melody was asking her if she was okay, because Melody could tell that Kimmy really wasn't herself. So then it allowed Kimmy to go ahead and tell Melody and Martell of her diagnosis and what she's been going through, the treatments and all of that. And so the news was extremely shocking to both Melody and Martell. They took it really, really, really hard. There was a time, you could see Melody crying, and it was heart wrenching to see that. And but Kimmy was in her spirits are a whole lot better. And so she says that she's now at a point where she can talk about it without crying. And it was very emotional, extremely emotional. But fortunately, it ended on a good note. When the dinner ended, they were all joking around and laughing with each other. Now, there was one part that I forgot to mention, and this is when Martell had met with Chris. Chris is the real estate agent that they all deal with. And he met with Chris because he was looking for a space for his wine event. And they were talking about Marsau. And Chris had said that he hasn't talked to Marsau in quite a while because, he's been kind of salty with Marsau. And what happened was, he had seen online that Marsau had posted something about his trip to Atlanta, and he had said something about how he was with Chris the whole entire time that he was in Atlanta. Now, this is when I guess, I don't know if this is where that picture of his back was taken, or what was going on, but he was in Atlanta. Rumors were swirling that he was in Atlanta with a female, but he said that he was in Atlanta only with Chris, and that's what he told Tisha, and that's what he posted online. So Chris didn't like that. It was like, you're not going to use me for your lies, because Chris, it seems like a very he seems like, I don't know, but he seems like a really honest guy, and he doesn't want to get involved in any shenanigans with these men. So he didn't like that. He tells Martell that, yeah, I met him in Atlanta, but we were together at most for maybe 2 or 3 hours. We weren't together the whole entire time. So I guess he's going to address that with I hope he addresses that with Marsau at some point, but I'm glad he mentioned this on camera. So if he doesn't mention it to Marsau, at least it's recorded on camera, and I want to know what Tisha's response is going to be to that, because Marsau told Tisha that he had gone to Atlanta, definitely with a friend, and he said that friend was Chris, and she ate that up, hook, line, and sinker. That's the problem. If you want to do your dirty mess behind your wife's back, leave everybody else out of it, Marsau. Leave everybody else out of it. She's going to believe whatever you say anyway. Okay, so you can go up there, you can tell her that you were completely alone. She's going to believe you because she wants the whole world to think that, everything's good, everything is Gucci between the two of you. So it doesn't even matter. You don't have to involve other people in your lies and your deceits. You don't have to involve other people. Leave other people out of it. That is my review. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a little bit all over the place because I'm tired. But thank you for joining me. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.